Hello, parents. How is everyone? Okay, I'm just coming on. I'm doing a really quick Facebook Live. For those of you who are not familiar with who I am Brianna. I am the founder of this group, and I help teen girls and young women end anxiety, depression, self-loathing, cutting, suicidal thoughts, eating disorders, all of that, so that they can really step into their power, their confidence, and love themselves. Yes, this is what I do every day, all day long. So if you're joining me live, let me know you're here live by just typing below live. If you are watching the replay, that's great too. Type in replay. I'm going to make this really short and quick because I just got off of a group coaching session. My dog really wants to go outside. So I'm just going to say this really quick and then leave so I can take Annabelle for her little walk. Otherwise, she's going to be really upset with me. But I want to talk about this. You know, the title for this is, Are You Raising a People Pleaser? And this was one of the things that we talked about on today's group coaching session with my amazing teen girls that I am working with. And, you know, we were talking about so many things like healthy boundaries, people pleasing, toxic friendships, toxic relationships, all of the things. And I think it's really, really important to be aware of how you may be creating, you know, this people pleaser within your daughter, because excuse me, that can lead down a really bad road in life in general, when your daughter is always in the mindset of, well, I need people to like me, so I'm always going to say yes. Or, you know, I want people to approve of me, so I'm going to say yes. I don't want people not to like me, right? Because that's really, when we think about the origin of like what this people pleasing is all about, it's about your daughter wanting to be liked. It's about your daughter wanting to feel accepted. And when she's not feeling this way, right, it like her whole world comes crashing down on her, right? And so what you may be doing to kind of, what you may be doing to kind of create this people pleaser in your daughter is you want to be careful with this. You want to be raising your daughter so that she actually has a voice and she uses her voice, right? You don't want, you know, your daughter to, you know, everything that you say, yes, mom, no, mom, or yes, dad, no, dad, or like, you don't want to have a daughter that is just wanting to please you all of the time, that she loses herself in the process. Sorry, I'm thinking about how I want to say this, because like I know how I say this and how I teach this with my girls, but then I'm trying to say it in a different way for parents. So I was sort of in my head thinking about how it's going to make sense. So I think it's really important because, like I said, so many girls, I've been doing this for years, and I see so many girls who come to me, who I work with, and they struggle with this. Either it's with friendships, right, where they feel pressure to be a certain way, do things that they don't want to do. There's so much pressure that's going on for girls, whether it's like you have to fit in, or you have to, you know, you have to be this way, or you have to look this way. And there's so much pressure coming at them from so many different angles. And it's like they lose who they are in the process because they want so badly to be liked. They want so badly to feel accepted that they don't even know who they are in the process, because they've lost all of that. You know, when we're also talking about like, Noreen, I'll read this in a second. Oh, hello, Lisa. Oh, actually, let me read it right now. I always wanted my daughter to have a voice so she would have the strength to say no in a bad situation. Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, because I was telling the girls today that nobody's going to look out for you like you can look out for yourself. Like, parents, you cannot be with your daughter 24/7. It's literally impossible, right? You can't keep her in her room all the time. And so it's important for your daughter to find her voice and use it, to find that empowerment that resides inside of her, to find that strength that is already within her, and to pull it out. She's got to pull it out because it gets trapped inside. It's like it's stuck and there's gunk over it and there's dust over it and she doesn't even know it's there anymore, right? And so this can, if your daughter doesn't know that this whole power thing resides within her, and she becomes this people pleaser, and she falls into codependent relationships and friendships, and she's friends with toxic people, and it's just like she loses sight of herself. And one of the things that I told the girls today is like, you teach people how to treat you based on what you allow and tolerate, right? This is universal, not just for girls, but adults as well, right? And so what tends to happen for these girls is, someone disrespects them, or they have a friend that puts them down, or they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that is not so kind towards them or not loving towards them, and they just tolerate it. They don't speak up for themselves. Internally, it eats at them, and they're like, oh my God, why did this person say such a horrible thing to me? Like, oh my God, I'm such a nice person. Like, why is this happening? So they internalize all of it, but they don't speak their truth. They don't know how to access it. It's because it's like, it's stuck inside of them, right? And so that's the work that I'm doing with these girls. It's like, let's pull it out. Let's pull out your power. Let's pull out your confidence. Let's pull out your strength and this empowerment. It's right. It's in there, but we got to pull it out. We got to pull it out for you, right? And so, and this happens so much, like I have these conversations with my clients about, toxic friendships, toxic relationships, and what are they settling for in these relationships when they're dating someone who puts them down, when they're settling for abuse, whether it's physical or mental or emotional abuse, and they settle for it. And they settle for it, and they fall for, they can fall for narcissistic people, or they fall for, people because they have such a big heart and they want to give so much of themselves, but they're naive and they don't know how to see the red flags that are right there. They're right in front of your daughter. And so I think a lot of parents, like, you want to raise your daughter to, be compassionate and loving and kind-hearted and that's great. And that's so important. But we also have to raise these girls to not be people pleasers and to not have people walk all over them and to not be duped into a toxic relationship where they're going to be stomped on, and not to fall into an abusive or emotionally or physically abusive relationship. It's like, and looking for not only the red flags, but finding your voice. And if that is coming towards you, get out. Run the other way, like get out of that, right? But a lot of these girls don't know that, right? Because they don't know their self-worth. It always comes back to the same thing. Self-worth. Where is your daughter's self-worth? Where is your daughter's self-esteem? How does she feel about herself, right? Your daughter's relationship with herself sets the stage for every single relationship that she has in her whole entire life. So if your daughter has, toxic friends, a toxic boyfriend, a toxic girlfriend, if she's got a horrible relationship with you or her father or anybody else in her life, well, that's the outside. It's the mirror of what is going on the inside your daughter. If those are the relationships that are presenting themselves out here, then what's going on inside your daughter is not good. It's not good. That is what we want to take a look at. I have so many parents that reach out to me, and I've spoken to so many girls, and they're in these horrible relationships, horrible, and they don't know how to pull their daughter out of it. And it's like, you can't pull your daughter out of something like that unless your daughter wants to be pulled out, right? It's called free will. Like your daughter, if you pull her out of some horrible relationship that she still wants to be in, she's smart and she will find a way to go back to that unhealthy relationship. Why? Because it's feeding her in some way, right? Well, if she doesn't have that self-love, I've shared this before, I'll share it again. Like if your daughter doesn't have that self-love, she doesn't know how to give that to herself, she's operating from a cup that's half full, kind of like it's empty, right? And so she goes searching for it outside of herself. Where's my happiness? Where's my joy? Oh my God, are you going to give it to me? Are you going to give it to me? Oh my God, but you're feeding me compliments. I love this. Oh my God, yes, more of that, right? Because your daughter doesn't know how to compliment herself. She doesn't know how to love on herself. But so she will seek it out, she will seek it out from other people, other situations. And like, so when it starts coming at her and she starts getting those compliments and she starts getting that, it's like a false sense of love that she's getting from other people. It feels really good. It's like a drug. She's like, oh my God, give me more of that. It feels so good, right? So she's like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And this is why so many girls get into these unhealthy, toxic relationships, because they're lacking that self-love that they don't know how to give to themselves. And so someone comes in who's the knight in shining armor until they realize he's not so knight in shining armor and he's actually a horrible, narcissistic, abusive person, but they don't see that initially. So they get into this relationship and then they get hooked, they get enmeshed, it's codependent, it's unhealthy. And then your daughter just gets stuck in it and she doesn't know how to get out of it. And you can have all the conversations in the world about it once your daughter is in a relationship like this, but until she actually learns her self-worth and her self-value, she's never going to want to get out of something like that, because she's going to think that's all she deserves, because that's all she is worthy of receiving. And so literally everything that we talk about in this group, everything that I talk about with my girls in my program, it always goes back to the same thing. It is your daughter's self-love. It is her self-worth. It is her enoughness. It is the power that resides within her. And your daughter, if she is struggling with her mental health, has lost sight of all of this. She's lost sight of it because depression, anxiety, cutting, suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts. What is all of this? What is it? Is it a mental illness? I don't even use that term. I really don't. Because I don't see it in that way, right? What I see this as is there is an imbalance going on with your daughter. Lack of self-love, absolutely, Noreen. There's an imbalance going on. And I look at depression and I look at anxiety and I look at self-harm and I look at suicidal thoughts as like, it's like a messenger. It's a message that it's trying to get your daughter's attention. It's like, you see, you're not loving yourself. You see, you put all of your worth and your value in your grades, in your friendships. You don't even know who you are. You just shove down all your emotions. It's imbalanced. So life is saying this to your daughter. We're going to give you anxiety. We're going to give you some depression. We're going to give you suicidal thoughts. We're going to give you the urge to self-harm. We're going to give you this eating disorder because we want you to wake up to the truth of who you really are. But you see, we don't see it in that way, and your daughter doesn't see it in that way too, because what happens when your daughter is struggling with her mental health? Do we see it as a message? Or do we see it as this thing that we want to numb, we want to put to bed, we want to fix? So what we do is we get these girls on all the medications in the world so they don't feel it. So they won't feel anything. So they'll become numb to their emotions, so they just won't feel a thing. Okay? So many girls who come to me have tried medication after medication after medication. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Because it's not getting to the root issue. It's a Band-Aid. And we can give your daughter all the Band-Aids in the world, but it's not really gonna do what you want it to do. Let's talk about therapy. So your daughter goes to therapy and she's venting about her problems and she's venting about a lot, and it feels good maybe in the moment because she's getting lots of stuff off of her chest. But in the long run, is it working? Is it doing anything? False sense of healing? Absolutely. And look, if any parents are watching this and you're taking your daughter to therapy and it's working wonders, then great. I'm not talking to you. I am talking to the vast majority of the people that are in this group that are taking your daughter. You're doing all the things, the medication, the therapy, the residential, the inpatient, the la, all of it. And you're just going in circles saying, what the hell is going on here? Because nothing seems to be working. Let me tell you, for any parent who is watching this and you are feeling like nothing is working, it's because we're trying to do all of the things that are not bringing balance into your daughter's life. Okay? So we look at, so the medication is numbing more things. So many girls come into my program and they have a whole history of trauma and painful experiences and wounds from the past, right? And when we just try to throw medication at that and hopefully one of those will stick, medication doesn't heal. That's the problem. It doesn't heal. But I understand why so many girls go on the medication, because if your daughter is suicidal, you're just like, shit, we got to put her on something, anything. We got to help her. This is out of control. And I get it. So many parents are at a loss. You're like, what are we going to do? She's not doing well. It's getting worse by the day. She's suicidal. She's cutting. She's doing this. She's doing that. We're just trying to keep her alive. And I get it. At that point, sometimes you might need the medication to help her get through that. But medication by itself, without even doing any of the healing work, the self-love work, the mindset work, it's like pointless. It's pointless. So what do we need to look at? Well, we can also look at like therapy, right? So your daughter going to therapy and venting about her problems, once a week for an hour, 50 minutes. Okay. Again, I'm sure it feels good in the moment. Who doesn't like to vent? Everybody loves to vent. Everybody. Most people. Everybody loves it. Does it heal? Does it get to the root issues? Talking about symptoms like depression, anxiety, cutting, suicidal thoughts, eating disorders, symptoms. None of those are root issues. So here's the deal. When we keep talking about symptoms, we can talk about the depression, sure. Talk about it all day long. We could talk about the anxiety. We can talk about it all day long. We could talk about the eating disorder all day long. What does that do for your daughter? Does it help her? Does it keep her stuck in a vicious cycle of the identity that she doesn't want to be in anymore? What does it do to her, for her? The vast majority of girls who come to me have done therapy for years and it hasn't worked for them, right? Venting about problems doesn't really solve anything. It keeps them stuck in their problems because that's what they tend to focus on, right? What we focus on grows and expands. Simple, right? Sounds simple, but let's take it into like a bigger context here with anxiety and depression. Once your daughter focuses on anxiety and depression, that becomes her whole identity. How's she going to get out of that? Well, it's all that she knows. It's all that she talks about. She talks about it with her friends, maybe. She talks about it with her therapist. That's all she sees. She looks in the mirror and she's like, oh my God, I'm a depressed person. Oh, shit. Oh my God, I'm so anxious. I'm just an anxious person. Okay, so that becomes her identity. She walks to school. She walks into school. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. This is who I am, right? Is that who she is? Or is that who she's made herself to be? Because she keeps on focusing on it, right? We have to look at these things. There's another way. There is another way. It's not the cookie cutter way though. See, the cookie cutter way is right here. It's like therapy, medication, residential, inpatient, outpatient. Doot, right? One way, okay? But what happens if we go and we expand? It's like a butterfly opening the wings and flying. What happens when we expand from what we have been told is the only way? The doctors say it's therapy and medication and that's about it. What happens when we go beyond what the doctor says is the only way and the doctor who sees your daughter for 15 minutes and writes a prescription for Lexapro or Wellbutrin or something like that. Enlightenment, I love it. I love it, Noreen. What happens when we go beyond what the doctor is saying is the only way and we actually start thinking for ourselves? There's power in that, let me tell you. And so when we start thinking for ourselves and we open up to the possibilities of what is really available for your daughter, it's powerful. It's powerful beyond measure. But we don't get there by going cookie cutter, because the doctor said that this is the only way to go. And a lot of us, it's like we don't veer off from what the doctors say because doctor knows best. Well, they have the MD after the name, right? You know, I've had so many people come to me and they're like, where's your credentials? Do you have a license? And I'm like, how about this? I've helped hundreds of girls transform their entire life. I've helped these girls save their lives. And I've done this like, I've lost count. I don't even count. Every day I get a new text, a new email from a mother or a daughter who's in my program or a mother who has her daughter in my program. And they're like, thank you so much for what you've done for my daughter. And I don't say this because I got a big ego. I don't say this because I need the accolades and all of that. I say this in all sincerity because I see the bigger picture of what happens when you get out of the cookie cutter and you expand, right? Cookie cutter, insurance, sure, insurance pays for a lot of that stuff. And if you want insurance to do the co-payment for like a $30 or $50 therapy, but the therapy isn't working, then what does it even matter if insurance pays it or not pays it? It doesn't matter anyway. You're not getting the results. So instead of having a conversation about what does this cost or how much is it, let's have a conversation about let's save your daughter's life. Because that is really what we're talking about. We're not talking about how can we fit this in your budget and all of the things, because your daughter's life is worth more than fitting it into a budget, right? It's a different conversation. And so we're not talking about whether you can, the budget can allow for this. We're talking about your daughter's life. That is the conversation that we need to be having. That's it. At the end of the day, that is it. I would do it again in a heartbeat for my daughter, yes. And Noreen, oh my God, I'm so behind. Noreen and I did an amazing interview and I have to share it. I'm behind because I'm so busy. There's so many exciting things going on right now in my business, in my personal life, all of it. And I will share it soon. I'm going to share it soon with all of you, but not quite yet. But we did an interview because Noreen had her daughter Rileyana in my program over a year ago, and her daughter was cutting and in a really dark, bad place. And her daughter came in, took the program by storm, and has been doing phenomenally ever since. Phenomenally, is that a word? I don't know. I just made it up. She's been doing amazing ever since. And so it's a testament to this program and the work and how powerful these girls are. Like, every time I share a testimonial, every time I share a girl success story, every time I share a text message from a mother or a daughter who has sent me a text, thanking me or whatever, right? I share that because I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm sharing that to show every single parent in this program what is possible for your daughter. But you got to get out of the cookie cutter and you got to open up to what is available right here. Right? Your daughter's life can be saved. Your daughter can start loving herself. Your daughter can start healing from whatever pain, whatever trauma, whatever wounds, right? Difficult, anything that's in the past that is still affecting her to this day, she can heal from it. But it doesn't happen when we go cookie cutter. We got to think for ourselves, and this is what I teach the girls and young women that I work for. Think for yourself, right? Everyone, we have this. I can breathe again. Oh, I love that, Noreen. Thank you. Everyone, I teach my girls this. I said this to them today. You guys all have this intuition. You all know, like, your inner wisdom is right inside of you. Use it. Tap into it. Think for yourselves, parents, too. What the doctor says is not always the end-all, be-all for what is really going to get your daughter the transformation that she deserves and she is waiting for. That is what I wanted to say, okay? I said it wasn't going to be a long Facebook Live, and I think I lied. I think it was long. I don't know how long I was talking, but I had things to say, and I had to say it. So with that, if you would like more information, you gotta watch my masterclass. It's called Healing the New Medicine for Anxiety and Depression. You can watch that. I'll leave the link below. If you are committed to saving your daughter's life, if you are committed to getting your daughter out of her misery and her depression and her anxiety and her suicidal thoughts and her cutting and her eating disorder and whatever it is that is stealing her joy and her happiness, then I encourage you to book a call with one of my team members so we can start saving your daughter's life today. Because tomorrow is not promised to anyone. It's not promised to anyone. And these may sound like just words, but it is all truth. Because a lot of girls, you don't know what is going on in your daughter's head. You don't know the suicidal thoughts that are stealing her joy and her happiness every single day. You don't know the unworthiness, or maybe you do. Maybe she shares this with you, but a lot of parents don't have a clue because your daughter is not sharing this with you. So she keeps it all inside until it's almost too late or it's too late. Don't let yourself be that parent that says, shit, I wish I would have tried something different. We kept following the doctor. The doctor kept saying, do this, do this, do this, medication, medication, therapy, 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 inpatient, outpatient, clinic, all the things, right? But if it's not working, you got to try something different. I'm going to leave you with that. I'll leave all of the information below. Oh, Brianna is the real deal, moms. Noreen, I love you. And I will share our interview this week. I keep forgetting, but I'm going to do it. Okay, bye for now. I love you guys. Mwah. See you soon. Bye, Noreen.